Hello, and thank you for your interest in Marketcetera. The easiest way to get started with developing strategies is via Photon, our integrated strategy studio. If you follow the Marketcetera documentation, you can find the strategy development section under the strategy module guide. Follow the links to the sample script section and you will see the links to the two strategies we're going to use today. I have already downloaded these on my hard drive, so if you right-click and save as, you can do the same for yourself. So on my desktop, I already have a strategies folder with both AutoSlicer and VWAP strategy. So at this point, we will switch over to Photon. When you open up Photon, go to the strategy tab. If you don't see it immediately, click on this button and then you will see it as one of the options here. Once you switch to the strategy perspective, you can go under the active scripts, right-click, and choose import to import additional strategies from file system. In this case, choose file system, next, browse. In my case, they're on the desktop under the strategies subdirectory. I can choose the two strategies that it found. It knows to import Ruby strategies. Photon only supports Ruby strategies at this point, but you can run Ruby and Java strategies under the strategy agent. Click on finish, and then both of these new strategies will show up in Photon. We'll do AutoSlicer second, but first we'll do VWAP strategy. VWAP is an approximation of subscribing to market data, doing a very quick VWAP approximation calculation on it, and then sending out trade. Initially, we sign up for a set of symbols. I am connected to the bogus market data. If you don't remember how to verify who you're connected to, remember you can go to Edit Preferences, Market Data, and there's the bogus feed and Marketcetera feed. In this case, we'll choose bogus feed. We have a very simple complex event processing query which does an inline calculation of a VWAP approximation expressed here. In the onStart method, we register for market data requests. So we register the symbol. Let me increase this. We register for all of the symbols from our bogus market data provider. We register to send it through complex event processing using the request processed market data. And then in this particular example, we register a callback after 10 seconds. So that we may have received some market data, and then when the callback comes back, we'll send out an order. To register the strategy, you need to right-click on it, choose Register, give it the same name as the strategy name. So VWAP strategy. In this case, we do want to send these to the live server. If you leave this unchecked, it will only go to the log. It will not actually send an order out. We're connected to the Marketcetera Exchange Simulator, so it will send the orders out that way. Finish. The strategy now shows up in the strategy list. In this particular case, the strategy is set up to receive callbacks from complex event processing in the onOther method. So in this case, we will set the VWAP, our internal data structure, in an array. And then later, when we register the callback, every 10 seconds, we get back to this callback. For each symbol that we have in our list, we're going to create a new order single. It will be buy order for 1,000 shares. It will be a limit order, and we'll set its price to be whatever was pre-calculated in Esper. And then we'll send the order out. Then we'll make a modification, and then instead of sending an order out live, we'll suggest it, and then we'll go through a few other possibilities. Before you start the strategy, make sure you switch the console to the sync console so that you can see the output of all of warn calls from before we send the order or from when we set the VWAP. So let's go ahead and start the strategy. Strategy starts. It's going to take a couple of seconds. So notice that all of the market data starts coming in. So we're setting the VWAP. And then if you wait 10 seconds, you just noticed that it scrolled through. But let's check to see if the order got sent out. So let's look at the fixed messages. We sent an order. It immediately got filled. If you keep looking at it, you may see it flash right here for a second, but it seems like we get hit immediately. So there it is. Let's switch back to the strategy view. Stop this strategy. Clear the log. So that's the VWAP strategy. And what we did right now was we sent an order. But let's say, what if instead of sending an order, what if we're not sure? We want to just suggest it. There is a function call you can do, suggest trade. It takes in the order. It allows you to specify some parameters so that you can see how interesting the order is, depending on whatever scale you want, and a text notification. So when we run it this time, instead of having the order going straight out to the order routing system, it will show up in the trade suggestion screen. So let's run it again. Let's switch to the trade suggestion screen. And then in a couple of seconds, the orders are showing up here. What you can do with this is there are a couple of options. You could click on this button, which takes you to the order ticket so that you could modify this and let's say change it to 73 and send it out. Another option is, let's say if this one's not interesting, you can delete it. Or for this specific one, if you like it the way it looks, you can just send it directly through to the fix engine. So that's what the trade suggestion is used for. It's if you want to put a human between your automated trading strategy and the final execution, you can use it for the trade suggestion. You could also use it to monitor trade suggestions coming from other strategy agents. You could, for example, connect to a remote strategy agent that could generate suggestions for you. You could view them here, and then you can make decisions on whether or not you want to act on these suggestions. So let's stop the strategy again. I'll delete all of these. And now let's make a different modification so that instead of doing a trade suggestion, we just do a notification. Notify High allows you to put up a pop-up. And again, it's one of the Photon preferences. If you look at desktop notifications, you will see that you can set up multiple priorities. And since ours is set on high, the notification that I'll do is going to be a high notification. And it takes two parameters, two strings. So in this case, we're going to take the symbol and a comment and run it and see what happens. So when you run this, it's again going to take 10 seconds until the callback kicks in. And now watch in the bottom right-hand corner where the pop-up will show up. So it shows up, it fades after a few seconds, and then when the next notification shows up, it will show up again. One of the things you could do with the notifications is you could actually assign, for those of you that like sounds, you could assign a sound so you could associate different sound with different notification level. So that's it for the VWAP strategy. Again, it's very simple. It just approximates VWAP by listening to market data and calculating VWAP on the fly, and then 10 seconds later, it sends out an order. Certainly not the most complex strategy, but we just wanted to give you an example of something you can do. Now let's look at the next strategy example. This is an order slicer. And again, it's a fairly straightforward sample. What it does is takes two parameters. So I wanted to highlight the functionality where you can pass in parameters. In this case, it takes a symbol and a quantity. And it randomly breaks up the quantity into some number of chunks. And then it sends those out again. This could be where you have a desire to send 10,000 shares out. You want to break it up into different buckets, and then you send out each individual chunk at a later time. So in this case, let's register the strategy, call it order slicer. Yes, let's route orders to server. But this time, notice that we're passing parameters to it. So in the GUI, the way you do that is you go to the properties view of a particular strategy, and you add new properties. So we had symbol, let's do GUB, and quantity. Let's do 10,000. And again, remember how when we registered, we specified whether or not to route it to the live destination? This is where you can make this change. Let's switch back to the console and clear it. So let's start the order slicer strategy. Notice that it broke the initial order into 4 separate partitions, and then it sends them out. So when you switch to the equity perspective, go look at the fixed messages at the bottom. You will notice that it sent them out. If you look at the fills, our Google partitions got filled. And this concludes our tutorial on how to load and run sample strategies. Thank you again for your interest in Marketcetera.